The room was softly lit by the gentle glow of a few candles, casting dancing shadows on the walls. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation, a mix of tension and desire that hung thick in the air. My husband approached slowly, his footsteps almost silent on the wooden floor. He stopped just behind me, as I stood with my back to him, and leaned in to kiss my bare shoulder softly. The touch of his lips sent a wave of heat through my body, making me shiver. He pulled away slightly, just enough for me to miss his warmth, creating a sense of anticipation. The room fell silent, but there was a feeling that something important was about to happen. He leaned in again, this time whispering in my ear, "Enjoy it before we begin." His voice was deep and full of promises, and I felt a shiver run down my spine. Whatever was coming, I knew it would be intense and unforgettable. He began to trace a line of kisses down my neck, moving to the curve of my shoulder. Each touch of his lips was like a spark, igniting a fire within me. I could feel his breath on my skin, warm and teasing. He knew exactly how to drive me wild with desire. "Are you ready?" he asked, his voice almost a whisper. I could barely speak, so I just nodded. He smiled, a smile full of mystery and seduction. "Good," he said, "because tonight, we're going to explore limits you've never imagined." He slowly turned me around to face him. His eyes gleamed with an intensity that took my breath away. He held my face with both hands and kissed me deeply, a kiss that seemed to last forever. I surrendered completely, letting myself be carried away by passion and desire. When he finally pulled away, I was breathless, my heart racing. He looked into my eyes and said, "Do you trust me?" I nodded again, without hesitation. "Then close your eyes," he said, "and let me guide you." I closed my eyes, feeling the excitement build within me. He took my hand and led me to another room, where the light was even softer and the shadows even more mysterious. I could feel his presence beside me, strong and protective, as he guided me into the unknown. "Here," he said, stopping in front of a closed door. "When you open your eyes, everything will change." He opened the door slowly, and I felt a cool breeze touch my skin. "Now open your eyes," he whispered. When I opened my eyes, I was speechless. The room was decorated with candles and flowers, creating a romantic and sensual atmosphere. In the center, there was a large, comfortable bed covered with silk sheets. He pulled me close and kissed me again, this time with an urgency that left me breathless. "Tonight is ours," he said, his eyes shining with desire. "We're going to explore all our desires and fantasies." I felt a thrill of excitement run through my body. I knew that this night would be unforgettable, filled with passion, mystery, and discoveries. We were now in an intimate moment, the sheets twisted and damp around us. My skin glistened with a thin layer of sweat, and our bodies were entwined in a passionate embrace. I didn't want him to pull away, so I held him tightly with my legs wrapped around his waist. He kissed me intensely, as if he were completely surrendering to me, his lips exploring mine with an urgency that left me breathless. His hands gripped my waist firmly, as if he feared losing me. Each touch, each movement, was filled with desire and passion. The room was filled with the sounds of our sighs and moans, a symphony of pleasure that echoed off the walls. Before we dive deeper into this tale of passion and mystery, I need you to do something crucial. If you want to discover what happens next between these intriguing lovers, click the subscribe button right now and hit the bell. Believe me, what comes next will stir you in surprising ways. But only subscribers will have access to these breathtaking revelations. Don't miss this unique opportunity. After the climax, he collapsed beside me, panting and exhausted. His chest rose and fell rapidly as he tried to catch his breath. I, on the other hand, stared at the ceiling, still feeling the desire pulsing within me. My body was sated, but my mind still yearned for more. He turned to me, his eyes still gleaming with the intensity of the moment. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice hoarse and filled with concern. I nodded, a shy smile forming on my lips. "More than okay," I replied, my voice almost a whisper. He smiled back, a smile that promised more. "Good," he said, "because the night is far from over." He leaned in and kissed me again, this time with more gentleness, but still full of passion. I surrendered to the kiss, letting myself be carried away by the sensation of his lips on mine. He began to trace a line of kisses down my neck, moving to my chest. Each touch of his lips was like a spark, igniting a fire within me. I could feel his breath on my skin, warm and teasing. He knew exactly how to drive me wild with desire. "You're amazing," he whispered, his voice filled with admiration. I felt a shiver run through my body, a mix of pleasure and emotion. He continued to explore my body with his hands and lips, each touch more intense than the last. I lost myself in the moment, carried away by passion and desire. The room seemed to spin around us, as if we were in our own world, far from everything and everyone. It was just him and me, our bodies entwined in a passionate embrace. He pulled me on top of him, his hands firm on my waist. I moved slowly, feeling every inch of him inside me. Our eyes met, and I saw the desire and passion reflected in his. It was as if we were connected on a deeper level, our bodies and minds in perfect harmony. The pace quickened, our movements becoming more urgent and intense. I could feel the pleasure building inside me, like a wave about to break. He held me firmly, his eyes never leaving mine, as we pushed each other to the limit. When we finally reached the climax, it was like an explosion of pleasure and emotion. Our bodies trembled, and our moans echoed through the room. I collapsed on top of him, exhausted and satisfied, but still feeling the connection between us. He held me tightly, his arms around me like a protective shield. "I love you," he whispered, his voice filled with emotion. I smiled, feeling an indescribable happiness. "I love you too," I replied, my voice almost a whisper. We lay there, embracing, as the world around us disappeared. It was just him and me, our bodies and minds connected in a moment of pure happiness and passion. And I knew that, no matter what the future held, we would always have that night to remember. Morning light flooded the kitchen, bathing the room in a soft glow. I was preparing coffee, still feeling the remnants of the previous night in my body. My husband entered the kitchen, his hair still tousled from sleep, and hugged me from behind. "Good morning," he whispered, kissing my neck. "Good morning," I replied, turning to face him. His eyes were filled with concern, and I knew he had something on his mind. "Have you ever felt like I'm not enough?" he asked, his voice laced with uncertainty. I sighed, knowing this conversation was inevitable. "It's not about you, love. It's about me, about my own desires. Sometimes, I feel like I need more, something I can't even explain to myself." He nodded, as if he had expected this answer. "I know you have these needs, and I want to fulfill them. But I don't want it to ruin our relationship." I looked into his eyes, seeing the sincerity in his gaze. "I don't want that either. But I don't know how to resolve this situation without hurting you." He smiled, a smile that was both sad and hopeful. "Maybe there's a way to satisfy your needs without ruining what we have. Trust me, I'll find a solution." I felt a mix of relief and curiosity. What did he have in mind? Only time would tell. He pulled me closer, his hands sliding around my waist. "I love you, and I want you to be happy. If that means exploring new paths together, I'm willing to try." I felt a shiver run through my body. The idea of exploring new paths with him was both exciting and scary. "I love you too," I replied, my voice almost a whisper. "And I trust you." He kissed me intensely, a kiss full of promises and desire. I surrendered to the moment, letting myself be carried away by the passion. When he finally pulled away, his eyes gleamed with an intensity that left me breathless. "Let's do this together," he said, his voice firm and determined. "Let's discover what you need and how we can satisfy it without losing what we have." I nodded, feeling a wave of determination. "I'm ready to try." He smiled, a smile full of confidence and love. "Then let's begin. Tonight, I want you to dress up for me. Something that makes you feel powerful and desired. And I'll surprise you." I felt a flutter in my stomach, a mix of excitement and nervousness. "I can't wait to see what you have in mind." He kissed me again, this time with more gentleness, but still full of passion. "It's going to be unforgettable," he promised. The rest of the day passed in a whirlwind of anticipation. I prepared carefully, choosing a dress that accentuated my curves and made me feel confident. By the time night fell, I was ready for anything. He took me to an upscale restaurant, where we dined by candlelight. The conversation flowed easily, and I could feel the sexual tension building between us. After dinner, he led me to a luxurious hotel, where he had reserved a suite. The suite was incredible, with a breathtaking view of the city. He pulled me close, his hands exploring my body with an urgency that left me breathless. "You look beautiful," he whispered, his lips brushing my ear. I surrendered to the moment, letting myself be carried away by passion and desire. He led me to the bed, his movements full of confidence and longing. Each touch, each kiss, was like a spark, igniting a fire within me. "I want you to feel free," he said, his voice laden with promises. "I want you to explore your desires without fear." I nodded, feeling a wave of excitement. "I'm ready." He smiled, a smile full of mystery and seduction. "Then let's begin." He kissed me intensely, his hands exploring my body with a skill that drove me wild with desire. I lost myself in the moment, carried away by passion and pleasure. It was as if we were in our own world, far from everything and everyone. When we finally reached the climax, it was like an explosion of pleasure and emotion. Our bodies trembled, and our moans echoed through the suite. I collapsed on top of him, exhausted and satisfied, but still feeling the connection between us. Before we continue on this exciting journey, we want to know what you think. What did you think of this intense and revealing moment? Do you believe that exploring new paths can strengthen or challenge a relationship? Leave your comment below and share your opinion. We want to hear from you. He held me tightly, his arms around me like a protective shield. "I love you," he whispered, his voice filled with emotion. I smiled, feeling an indescribable happiness. "I love you too," I replied, my voice almost a whisper. We stayed there, embracing, as the world around us disappeared. It was just him and me, our bodies and minds connected in a moment of pure happiness and passion. And I knew that, no matter what the future held, we would always have that night to remember. 2 days later, I was in the living room, trying to concentrate on a book, but my mind was elsewhere. I heard the front door open and looked up, curious. My husband entered, followed by 5 unfamiliar men. They were tall, imposing, and walked in calmly, as if they already knew what was to come. My heart raced, a mix of surprise and excitement taking over me. My husband approached with an enigmatic smile and said, "They're here for you." I was speechless but didn't resist. I knew he had planned something special, something that could satisfy my deepest desires. The men positioned themselves around the room, their gazes fixed on me, as if waiting for a signal. The tension in the air was palpable. I could feel the energy shifting, becoming more intense and charged with anticipation. My husband looked into my eyes, as if to reassure me. "Trust me," he whispered. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my nerves. I knew I was about to embark on a unique experience, something that could change everything. And, despite the initial surprise, I was ready to discover what was to come. He moved closer, his hands gently sliding down my arms. "I want you to feel free, to explore your desires without fear," he said, his voice low and seductive. "These men are here to serve you, to give you the pleasure you deserve." I felt a shiver run through my body. The idea of being the center of attention, of having so many men focused on me, was both exciting and intimidating. But the confidence in my husband's gaze gave me the courage I needed. "I'm ready," I said, my voice steady despite the nervousness. He smiled, a smile full of pride and desire. "Good. Let's begin." The men started to move, each taking a different position around me. One approached from behind, his strong hands gently resting on my shoulders. Another knelt in front of me, his eyes locked on mine as he began to unbutton my blouse. I closed my eyes, letting myself be carried away by the sensations. Each touch, each movement, was calculated to give me pleasure. The hands of the man behind me slid down my arms, while another softly kissed my neck. I could feel their breath on my skin, warm and teasing. My husband watched everything, his eyes gleaming with a mix of desire and satisfaction. He knew exactly what he was doing, and I was grateful that he had planned all of this for me. The other men joined in, each finding a way to touch me, to give me pleasure. It was a symphony of sensations, each touch, each kiss, taking me deeper into a state of ecstasy. I felt powerful, desired, and completely surrendered to the moment. The tension in the air grew with each passing second. I could feel the desire building within me, like a wave about to break. My husband approached, his lips meeting mine in an intense and passionate kiss. "You're incredible," he whispered, his voice filled with emotion. "I want you to feel everything, to explore every inch of your desire." I nodded, my breath coming in gasps. "I want that. I want it all." He smiled, a smile full of promises. "Then we'll give you everything." The men intensified their movements, each touch more urgent, more passionate. I lost myself in the moment, carried away by passion and desire. It was as if we were in our own world, far from everything and everyone. When we finally reached the climax, it was like an explosion of pleasure and emotion. Our bodies trembled, and our moans echoed through the room. I collapsed into my husband's arms, exhausted and satisfied, but still feeling the connection between us. He held me tightly, his arms around me like a protective shield. "I love you," he whispered, his voice filled with emotion. I smiled, feeling an indescribable happiness. "I love you too," I replied, my voice almost a whisper. We stayed there, embracing, as the world around us disappeared. It was just him and me, our bodies and minds connected in a moment of pure happiness and passion. And I knew that, no matter what the future held, we would always have that night to remember. My husband approached me and kissed me deeply, as if he wanted me to feel his presence above all else. His lips were firm and decisive, and I surrendered to the kiss, feeling the tension and desire growing within me. He began to undress me carefully, removing my clothes slowly, as if each piece was a revelation. The 5 men watched attentively, unhurried, their gazes fixed on every movement. The feeling of being watched was strangely exciting, and I could feel the energy in the room changing, becoming more intense and focused. My husband guided me to the kitchen counter, exploring my body with deliberate and firm touches. His hands roamed my skin, awakening sensations I didn't even know existed. He positioned me with my back to the counter, and I leaned against it, feeling the cool surface against my warm skin. The atmosphere in the room was charged with anticipation. The men continued to watch, their gazes intense and filled with desire. I could feel the anticipation growing within me, a mix of nervousness and excitement. My husband leaned in and whispered in my ear, "Relax, I'm here with you." His voice was calm and reassuring, and I felt a bit more at ease. I knew he was in control, and that gave me a sense of security. He continued to explore my body, his hands moving with a precision that left me breathless. Each touch was calculated, each movement intentional. I could feel the tension building, the energy in the room becoming more intense with each passing second. The men began to approach slowly, their movements synchronized and deliberate. They positioned themselves around me, their bodies close to mine but not touching. The proximity was maddening, and I could feel my heart beating faster. My husband kissed me again, his hands still exploring my body. He whispered in my ear, "It's okay. Let go." And with those words, I surrendered completely to the experience, ready for whatever was to come. Before we reveal the next chapter of this intense story, we want to know: how are you feeling as you follow each detail of this incredible moment? Are you curious to see where this journey will take them? If so, show your enthusiasm. Click the like button right now. The more likes we get, the faster we can release the next chapter of this thrilling narrative. One by one, the men began to approach, each with a different rhythm. The first moved with confidence, his steps firm and decisive. He positioned himself in front of me, his eyes locked on mine, and began to explore my body with precise and intense touches. His hands were firm, and each movement made my body react intensely. I could feel the tension building within me, a mix of excitement and anticipation. The second man approached more slowly, his movements deliberate and calculated. He positioned himself at my side, his hands tracing my skin with a slowness that increased the tension. Each touch was deep and filled with intention, making my body shiver with pleasure. The combination of different rhythms was maddening, and I felt completely surrendered to the sensations. The third man approached from behind, his hands gripping my hair firmly. He pulled me slightly back, maintaining eye contact while exploring my body with firm and decisive touches. The feeling of being controlled, of being guided by his hands, was intense and exciting. His eyes never left mine, and I could feel the connection between us growing with each passing second. The fourth and fifth men worked in sync, one in front and the other behind. They moved with impressive precision, their touches coordinated and intense. The fourth man positioned himself in front of me, his hands exploring my body with a firmness that left me breathless. Behind me, the fifth man held my waist tightly, his movements synchronized with those of the fourth man. The sensation of being held, controlled, and intensified by them was overwhelming. They guided me, controlled me, and amplified every sensation. I was completely surrendered, lost in a sea of pleasure and desire. Each touch, each movement, was calculated to bring me to the edge, and I felt completely at their mercy. The energy in the room was intense, charged with desire and anticipation. My husband watched everything closely, his eyes fixed on me. He approached and whispered in my ear, "Let go, I'm here with you." His words were comforting, and I felt even more secure, knowing he was there, taking care of me. The intensity of the sensations was almost unbearable, but I didn't want it to stop. Each touch, each movement, took me deeper into a state of ecstasy. I was completely surrendered, lost in a world of pleasure and desire. The intensity of the sensations increased with each passing second, and I could feel my body responding overwhelmingly. Each touch, each movement, brought me closer to the edge. The room was charged with desire and anticipation, and I was completely given over to the moment. I reached climax repeatedly, losing control of myself. My body trembled, my breath faltered, and I surrendered completely to the pleasure. The men held me firmly, ensuring I didn't fall. Their hands were strong and secure, keeping me in place as waves of ecstasy coursed through my body. Each climax was more intense than the last, and I felt completely at the mercy of the sensations. My body shuddered, and I could barely breathe between the spasms of pleasure. The men continued to guide me, their touches precise and calculated, intensifying each sensation. When it was all over, I was exhausted but deeply satisfied. My body was covered in a thin layer of sweat, and my breath was still ragged. The men released me slowly, making sure I was stable before stepping away. My husband approached, his eyes filled with admiration and love. He embraced me gently, whispering words of comfort in my ear. "You were incredible," he said, his voice filled with pride. I nestled into his arms, feeling immense gratitude. He had done this for me, to satisfy my deepest desires, and I was grateful for it. The experience had been intense and unforgettable, and I knew our relationship had reached a new level of trust and intimacy. The room was silent now, the tension and desire giving way to a sense of peace and satisfaction. The men discreetly withdrew, leaving us alone. My husband led me to the sofa, where we sat together, still embracing. "Thank you," I said, my voice still trembling. "That was incredible." He smiled, his eyes shining with emotion. "I would do anything for you. I want you to be happy, to feel pleasure, and to know that I am here for you, always." I kissed him softly, feeling an even stronger connection between us. "I love you," I said, my voice full of sincerity. "I love you too," he replied, his embrace tightening around me. While I was lost in the moment, adrift in a sea of sensations, my husband watched everything from across the room. His eyes were fixed on me, and I could feel his presence, even without looking directly at him. He watched with a mix of admiration and pride, without a hint of jealousy. His expression was calm and serene, showing a deep acceptance of what was happening. He knew this was for me, to satisfy my deepest desires, and he was willing to let it happen out of love. When it was all over and the men had discreetly withdrawn, he approached me. His eyes shone with emotion, and he embraced me gently, whispering words of comfort in my ear. "You were incredible," he said, his voice filled with pride. I nestled into his arms, feeling immense gratitude. He had done this for me, to satisfy my deepest desires, and I was grateful for it. The experience had been intense and unforgettable, and I knew our relationship had reached a new level of trust and intimacy. "Thank you," I said, my voice still trembling. "That was incredible." He smiled, his eyes shining with emotion. "I would do anything for you. I want you to be happy, to feel pleasure, and to know that I am here for you, always." I kissed him softly, feeling an even stronger connection between us. "I love you," I said, my voice full of sincerity. "I love you too," he replied, his embrace tightening around me. In that moment, I realized that not every man would allow something like this. Many would be jealous or feel threatened. But my husband was different. He loved me so deeply and unconditionally that he was willing to do anything to see me happy, even if it meant sharing such intimate moments. His acceptance and pride were evident in every look, every touch. He showed me that our love was strong enough to overcome any challenge, any situation. And that made me love him even more. After everything that had happened, I felt different. Not just physically, but emotionally. The experience had affected me in a way I never imagined possible. My husband, with his acceptance and unconditional love, had shown me that our relationship was stronger than I thought. As we sat on the sofa, still embracing, I couldn't stop thinking about everything we had experienced. The trust, the intimacy, the desire. All of it had intensified in a way I never could have predicted. "You know," I said, breaking the silence, "I never imagined something like this could happen. That you could do this for me." He looked into my eyes, his smile calm and assured. "I would do anything for you. If that means giving you what you need, then I'm willing to do it." His words touched me deeply. I knew he was being sincere, that his love for me was so great that he was willing to cross boundaries that many couldn't. "I love you," I said, my voice filled with emotion. "And I will never forget what you did for me." He kissed me softly, his lips conveying all the love and trust he felt for me. "I love you too. And I will always be here for you, no matter what happens." As we held each other, I couldn't help but think about how all of this had changed our relationship. The trust between us had strengthened, and I knew that, together, we could face anything. And then, a question popped into my mind, a question I wanted to share with the world. If it meant giving her what she needs, would you let it happen? Now, we want to hear from you who followed this intense story. What did you think of this moment of discovery and surrender? What feelings did it evoke in you? Was it surprising, exciting, or even inspiring? Your opinion matters to us. Share your reflections in the comments. We want to know how this journey resonated with you and which parts touched your heart deeply.